Team 8, with a team fight that seemed impossible to win, ends up winning game number 1, despite being down a lot of their power picks that have brought them success throughout part 2. I think we have a replay of that final fight, right?
I believe it's coming up at some point, yeah, but how can a team lose without a 20 advantage into a non-20, and it was how it was forced, how it initiated. Cawthon, give it to us.
So we see a hard engage here, attempting to just roll over Team 8 with that 20-17 advantage. However, Dread pointed out something very useful. You see the hard engage, but where is the follow-up damage here?
I mean, the entire time is, look at Fan, he's out doing his own thing. Crone, the entire time, they didn't touch. I don't think they got a single damage number that entire fight after the initiation due to that ley line split, and then one nice blind that came out. For some reason, they were all just too afraid to move up, get that damage output, and suddenly Equinox and Mikey Doll are on their own.
Yeah. Fan moved in, got stunned, got blinded for 4 seconds. He was incapacitated for about 6 seconds. Though he was in position to do damage, he basically did none. Chromie was way far back, kind of just throwing spells randomly. None of it landed, and when she moved up, it was far too late. After both the damage dealers failing to land, honestly, maybe a single point of damage during that hard engage, at the point that they pull back, the Punisher's in the perfect position to trap them in that choke, and that fight just completely turned on them. I think going into it, assuming it was just going to be the easiest team fight they'd ever won in their lives.
I think it was only amplified, right? Because if everyone, Equinox approached the team fight like this will be the easiest fight of my life. And I don't think that's terrible, but everyone has to believe it's going to be the easiest fight of their life, because I think it's reasonable that Gale Force loses that fight and maybe loses a couple members. It's unreasonable that they lose that fight 3-0. And if everybody just goes in and is like, press your R buttons, we're going to win, we have 20, it's like a 2-for-2. It could be not pretty, but it wasn't as ugly. It was all because they were all had a different mentality going into the initiation that made it that much worse. Fan and Crone were like, feel it out, we've got 20, eventually it'll work, look how close they are to the Punisher, and Equinox is like, nope, we need to force, we're going to get this, let's initiate.
Yeah, a difference in mentality, in communication potentially even for the team, and it's frustrating, right? I'm sure it's very frustrating for that team who had a good hold on that game. But they've got to get it together. They've got to push that game away, because we are heading straight into game number 2. Let's see where it's at. Gale Force eSports, in losing game 1, has chosen Battleground pick to take us to Cursed Hollow. Cursed Hollow immediately makes me think, you know, they've played some Tyrael Illidan here. They've played some Abathur plays too. What are you thinking for Gale Force here on Cursed Hollow, Cawthon?
Judging by the way the Gale Force has been playing the last couple weeks of the HGC, this is the type of playstyle they've been looking to do with the split push pressure from heroes like Zagara and Abathur, and then some sort of really aggressive hero to go along with that provides pick-off potential so that the other team can't just like relentlessly hound the split pushers.
Not even dealing with it.
Speaking of split pushers,
I'm curious if we'll see an equally quick return ban here on Medivh, both teams taking away the comforts. Nope, we're sticking with the Anub, it looks like.
I do think that Gale Force should be satisfied that they got a Zek ban. That's actually, I feel like, a pretty big win on the fact that they've drawn a resource for Zagara on any map other than Braxis.
However, it does put them in an awkward position here now where they either have to 1-2 an Abathur here, or they may preemptively have a strategy to deal with the Abathur, and it looks like they do here. I was going to say, or give up the Abathur on the 2-3 here with the Greymane, which is really strong. However, it looks like Gale Force has put themselves into a position where they've freely advertised that they want to push hard, expecting the Abathur pick to come here on the 2-3. Zarya and Cassia pressure walls extremely hard in the early game. Teammate now has to decide if they still want to commit to that Abathur, knowing they may lose all their walls early.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. The fact that Gale Force gave up that Abathur, like you said. What do we see them go for?
Yeah, I was wondering if it would be Abathur Genji, because that happened when Teammate first picked Greymane on Towers versus Team Freedom, but Gale Force feeling like this is going to be the better option. And wasn't this something that you guys, specifically Tempo Storm, did something similar versus Gale Force? I don't know if it was this map in particular, but last time when you guys played them, had a Cassia strategy versus a heavy split push strategy.
Wow.
Oh.
Committing to the Chromie on the 2-3. Chromie, when you think about it, is one of the most effective ways to defend against Cassia. It's very hard to step up and trade with her, because anytime she pops charge strikes and hits a wall, everybody's getting hit by those bounces. Chromie is one of the few heroes that can stay safe at range and still punish a Cassia with meaningful damage without getting any in retaliation.
And also, you know, you're talking about the terrifying laning that you can see in some matchups with the Zarya itself, and Chromie is going to be defensing for, you know, the possible tri-lane out of Gale Force eSports into the draft. But the early Chromie pick, do we see Gale Force punish that at any point, or is there anything you want to see out of the next 2 picks of Gale Force?
I think they're relatively safe from punish here with the Anub off the board. Genji, one of the only other heroes that can safely dive into the back. I wouldn't expect them to suddenly shift into like an anti-Chromie comp here per se. Tyrael could be a good pickup. Whoa.
Wow.
Wow, we're just going all for the push here. I was going to say Tyrael, resistant to the magic, has good boss control, could be a decent answer to Chromie, but instead they seem to be committing fully to the push here in a way that even for Gale Force, I think is unexpected.
So can Teammate feel comfortable getting Abathur here? They still have Yoda who would play it, and then they could get something like their Warrior Tyrael, or...
Teammate would be a lot braver than I am if they pick an Abathur into this nonsense here. I don't know, Joe. What do you think Teammate's going to look for in response to this ridiculous all-in push they're about to be hit with?
I'm trying to figure out what they should be afraid of. Obviously, the Sylve is saying something, but what is it saying? Traditionally, Sylve doesn't provide much to a map like this in the distance because most of the time a global will do better job split pushing than she would at almost all points. There's a cleanse on the other side, so it doesn't scream like the mind control cheese game. I don't,
yeah.
Nothing about that pick seems intimidating. So now I'm like, I can't tell if Gale Force has just gone cuckoo or if I'm missing some crazy cheese.
I thought maybe in seeing Sylvanas not wanting to get Abathur switching and having Yoda play Leo, that way they had left 2 strong Yoda picks, whatever they wanted.
Found it.
Found it. There it is.
Okay.
We should have seen that coming. We should have seen that.
That's classic Cursed Hollow. Sylve Vikings cheese. Yeah. I'm actually a little disappointed in myself.
It's been so long in NA. It made so much sense the second it came. We're like, why didn't we guess that was coming? Yeah.
1 loss in cheese comes in.
Yeah.
I'm already reminded of a tweet that Justin put out that was the clapping. It was like, hey, no cheese, please.
We're not
Sorry,
mice.
Justin. Oh, yeah, we're not mice.
Well, he's going to have all the cheese he can handle here in this game.
You want to know the worst part? It only got amplified. It got amplified. We have the opportunity to find ourselves with a medevac cheese with Sylvanas disabling in case we want to go like a pseudo juice pirates. Like we don't have... We have cheese within our cheese. That's how serious this draft has gotten for Gale Force eSports.
Cheese stuffed cheese?
Yeah. It's like mozzarella sticks with an extra layer of cheese stuffed inside.
Sounds delicious.
It actually does.
I feel like Teammate may have been as unprepared for that last pick as Dread and I, because I feel like if they knew those Vikings were coming, they might have opted to go with something like a Zeratul instead on their last 2 picks.
Yeah.
It's possible that they thought it through better than us and just decided to go forward with 2 very standard picks with wave clear. I don't know, man. I expect that Gale Force is going to jump out to a huge early lead. Question being, will they be able to capitalize properly on it this time with a 3-level lead?
Yeah, I feel like, yes, they are going to gain a lead, and then they're going to... It all comes down to the first team fight when both teams hit 10. And Gale Force will have the advantage, and if they end up winning that fight and then getting a major objective after with Sylve, I'm like, they might have a shot. But the minute they take that fight and they lose it, I go, okay, it's out the window. It's just the late game team fighting of this composition is a little too weak for me to support.
And we've seen them uncursed choose not to take fights even that they need to take.
I want Longboat Raid. I want the level 20. And then that's the only way I would ever suggest that Gale Force has a chance of winning late game team fights.
Ragnar rock and roll. Let's rock and roll right into game 2. Cursed Hollow, the cheese of Gale Force eSports. Can it tie the series up?
You got to ask yourself, how prepped is your cheese? You know, it's an old school cheese. It's a classic cheese, and it checks out. But it's got holes in it. You know?
So it's of the Swiss variety.
It is.
Yeah. How long has it been aging? Is it to perfection?
Yeah, you know, and it's just, oh man. I wanna say I think Gale Force can do this. Okay, let's break it down. For anybody who's never seen this, we act like this is every day we see a Sylv Vikings. What happens? Your Vikings soak all 3 of the side lanes. Then your 4-man pushes with Sylvanas, disables all the structures, takes out a front wall, and then the minute you react to it, they go, oh, thank you, we're going to rotate now to mid. And you're like, well, suddenly I don't have enough things to soak the side lanes and stop Sylvanas 4-man pushing from taking out free front walls, which, I mean, when this strat first started, it felt like it couldn't be beaten. And eventually, the answer was things like macro or just kill them because they are poor at team fighting. And Vikings have only been slowly nerfed over time on their damage output.
You can already see the start of it, and it comes down to how teammate responds. It's a frustrating style to play against. You have to be constantly quick with your reactions, and all of the team has to be on the same page to stop this kind of push. Zarya amplifies this, again, because she can soak those shots, gaining energy. Justin getting low, getting very low, but having iron skin to get out of fend from Fan.
Equinox in this type of thing, last time I saw this type of cheese, it was before Zarya. So it's kind of interesting when we know Zarya, man, Mike Udall fell way too low there for comfort. Knowing that this cheese kind of exists and she's been good at sieging, what does she do differently? Into, you know, prismaticism on the Chromie, a little nice cross supporting, but the damage output herself will be slightly above average. I don't know. I don't think it accents it that much better or that much worse. It's just kind of like as good as any other hero, but he is getting caught out. Nice root. The blind peel from Fan.
He also got Feel the Heat. Equinox did, so increasing the damage in that way. We have Mercenary Queen, we have Viking Bribery, so we have all of these things to make what is already an annoying strategy to play against even worse.
One thing, I'll say this every time I see the Vikings, that I want to see from them in this type of comp is the only reason, okay, is to stack the 2-1. So Olaf be on his own, and then have Balog and Eric always be together in a lane, but only showing one at one time for this exact reason. Laurent gets a pick, and now everything in that top lane is going to be lost. He has to rotate a Viking, but Eric's been sitting bot with the 4-man doing literally nothing forever. And eventually when this strategy rotates, Eric would gain value, but because they're remaining in one lane, it makes no sense that Gale Force would commit Viking cheese by not sending the Eric and Balog together in the same lane and abuse Olaf's passive health regen.
Yeah, once the team decides to make the rotations, then to preempt that, you can send the Viking down. And this way, they didn't lose out on soak in the top lane. Now, Mike is sending up, or no, it's not Mike playing the Vikings. The Vikings are sending up 2 to sit with Greymane in the top lane. And Greymane and Leoric have both been doing a fantastic job trying to counter-push the other lanes away. You can see that Greymane, Glaurung has taken out one fort, so they're staying even-ish with experience. But Gale Force eSports now has taken out the front wall in front of this keep. And remember, this is a keep where their safe boss will push later on if they can get it.
Yeah, they're doing a good job, like you said, stopping a lot of that siege upward. Vikings getting up the first tribute. The most important thing is just, from a strategical standpoint and a shot calling, wait a minute, Akaface has no mana. If they even get a dismount here, all right, they make it out. It's like it's a Tyrande composition, you know? The soak, it's in a different sense. Tyrande's gonna kill you to get that experience. Vikings soak it to get that advantage early on, but you know, like the Kerrigan, you outscale it. You aren't too worried about it. So yes, the experience is even. Structures are pretty close. So teammates like, so we're winning this game, right? It just, you should expect to lose that. Like Abathur's, you lose front walls. It's going to happen. Their spike is so very weird and different than most compositions. So where a teammate right now, it hasn't looked pretty, and they've only been reactionary, but they're winning this game.
Yeah, my main concern, again, is this. Early boss, and that boss is going to go straight to a keep. No towers even in front of the keep. So Gale Force understanding very well what they need to be doing this game with this composition. Justing's here, Buds is too. Does Justing even risk stepping onto the point? He does not. So this is a boss for Gale Force eSports at 4 minutes and 20 seconds into the game.
4 minutes and 20 seconds means it hasn't even hit its first initial leveling up of scaling per minute, which, I don't know if you know how much this boss will do. Even if they disable it, hold on a minute, the siege, they're gonna move upwards. Nice haunting wave to get out, but the root is there. Equinox falling so very, very low. He self-shields. He's remaining up. Akaface with the peels, and now, Glaurung is actually the one who falls. Gale Force turning this around. Eric coming in hot.
He is going to try to get another kill for the team. Yoda Wraith walks out, but Fan claims the life of Chromie, a second kill. Justine trying to slow down everyone else from Gale Force if they can, but Teammate was trying to engage so that Sylvanas couldn't disable this structure. Now Teammate lost 2. Chromie's still not here yet. Bud's trying to drop the mule to keep this keep alive.
They're trying to keep it alive, and will they be able to do it? Sylv passive. Disable is it. 20 is here, a 2-level advantage for Gale Force in this game, and they've got themselves a 3rd tribute that could lead to a curse, and that is going to be the Vikings rotating out. That's going to be a curse. In 20 seconds, we've got a curse. And a 2-level lead, a 10-0 advantage. Gale Force eSports is really coming online.
They're trying to end the game if they can get the right picks. They're hanging out here. They know there's no heroics. Play again's been used. All the Vikings are here. We're going for the core at 5 minutes and 40 seconds into the game. Gale Force eSports is trying to take down the core. A lot of the Vikings are gone, but so are Chromie.
If they were going to die, I would like to see them do it on the core itself. That's the most important thing here for Gale Force eSports, because even if they wipe this early, it's okay. It would give a lot of experience away, but they need permanent damage on the core. The shield's regenning, and suddenly what this skirmish was merely a 3-for-1 trade that gave a large amount of experience over to Teammate to be gained. Watch, so the curse is going to drop in 35 seconds. Watch how much experience Teammate now gains off of this, because there's been no pressure in any other lane, nor a respectable amount of damage done to the core on the side of Gale Force.
Well, there were mercenary camps in the mid and top. Top took out the fort at least, so there's only 1 fort remaining for Team 8, and they will heal it back up with their mule. Teammate has to rotate someone up to the top to make sure that they can get the experience from those minions and clear out that mercenary camp so it doesn't get anything else done. Knowing that, Gale Force eSports will finally take out the fort in the mid. So no forts left for Team 8. Finally, Team 8 gets heroics. But Gale Force is well on their way to 13.
So now Team 8 should just look to force any team fight that they can. Get those type of initiations, and they should be able to win them. Hold on, I need a moment to think about this. Boss is going to be started for Team 8. Gale Force is near. Nice use of the Chromie level 1. She has found everybody on Gale Force.
Expulsion zone available for Gale Force.
Teammate needs to get off the boss and force the fight. There's no way Gale Force can win this fight blow for blow, but they do win it if you panic over a boss itself. They're split.
Yeah,
Oh.
Look how split they are away too. The boss is set in a way that Buds and Prismaticism are away from the team. Chromie's in the back. Lowry's getting low. Ball Lightning brings him down.
They get the kill onto Teammate, and now Buds actually falls as well. The boss is being taken by Equinox as he is casually taking it. Akaface is receiving a bit of pressure, but Yoda actually ends up falling now to Sylvanas, the Haunting Wave, and the boss going over to Gale Force eSports. 4 people dead. The bottom keep is actually allowing catapults to even match up on bottom. Gale Force is just ruining with this cheese.
They're still winning team fights against Team 8. They'll take out another keep away from Team 8, and with the boss behind it, still low respawn timers for Team 8. 14 to 10, a 4-level lead on Cursed Hollow.
4-level lead is so difficult in a full HP boss here. It's only 8 minutes though, so it's still risky, but it's got itself through the shielding of the core. The Twilight Dream dropped 80% onto the core and counting. Haunting Wave moving in. Gale Force is all in. They are done. They say they can end it now. 20, and that is gonna be it. And we are tied in this series 1-1.
So Stim Drone plus Charge Strikes, pretty scary. What are you freaking
Like, you all just pop up in chat. You know, he just, the minute they won that game, he put the claps and it said, hey, be ready for draft.
Oh, no.
Boom.
More cheese potentially incoming. What a game. What a game, Cawthon.
So let me just start off by saying that was not your typical cheese. That was a carefully crafted, very specific cheese that was a 5 to 6 minute plan to end the game, and it didn't work, but they had the backup plan with the top boss to finish it off. You could tell from the way they set up the entire game that this is something they practiced over and over again with a very set timing on everything they did. The reason they committed so much to the bottom lane, like you kept alluding to, not keeping 2 Vikings in the other lane, they committed non-stop to bottom, and then they looked to get the boss and the 3rd curse at a very specific timing. In fact, you saw the Vikings with the play again and the exact timing, like getting that 3rd curse coming down with the play again for that all-in push on the core. Everything went according to plan, except that they weren't able to finish the core there. However, Teammate feeling extremely pressured, even though they basically survived what I would consider to have been the entire plan of Gale Force. They then felt pressured enough to take a team fight with the boss on them the entire time, and I think that was Teammate's big mistake. I think at that point they should have just tried to slow the game down and catch up in levels as much as possible. And Gale Force, I'm almost certain, would have tried to go for the boss up top in opposite positions where they would have had the boss hitting them, and Teammate could have come in and try to take that fight with the advantage.
Frustrating. A frustrating game for Teammate. They tried really hard to stop it, but felt the pressure on. Now we're tied 1-1 in this series. We're going to a break.